done it. Everyone's done it, and he's had some really good days where he's confident early on. He was a little shaky in the pocket, just calmed down. Now he's moving in the pocket really well, like he's done for years and years and years now. Sully played football last year. He does a really good job in the pocket, but he's learning the brand. He didn't get to be around here in the spring like Kay did. So it's been fun to watch both. They're both playing at a pretty high level right now, and it's fun for me to figure out what they can do. Like we ran a play the other day that we ran in the spring, but Kay threw it a little bit late, and it was his first time ever running it. It was rep one for him, and not rep one for our offense yet, but it was rep one for Kate, and everything for Sully's rep one. So the more reps we can get, we really challenge them at walkthroughs. We're trying to get as many reps as we can, because muscle memory is a real thing, and to watch them continue to get better every single time they do something, they're committed to it, and it's been fun to watch them battle.
A common misconception I have is new offense modern. Does that mean 5 wide, a lot of passing? That's not true. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it is establishing the run ETR with you. Can you tell me what gives you confidence that this team and this running back group can establish the run well, and what that kind of leads to in your offense? Like, why is it so important to do that?
Yeah, I think in every offense, even some of the spread offenses you see, I think like the old school Baylor spread stuff. I mean, they ran power better than anybody, and if you didn't stop the power, you were in trouble. And if you did stop the power, they're going to throw it to those people out there they were long and fast receivers, So I really think most offenses start with the run game, right? Other than maybe Mike Leach's offense, But other than that, I think it all goes to running the ball. And so, these guys, they've had some success in the running game when you look at the numbers of what they were able to do. We're definitely running a little differently. Some of the plays are exactly the same. There's plenty of new ones. But once you get the run game going, then everything changes because defenses have to change. And once they change, your explosiveness changes. But this whole offense is about we're going to run the ball, and then everything comes off of it. Like I talked about Green Bay earlier. What I saw happen as soon as Aaron Jones came back last year, it was a totally different offense when he was out there, and we got the run game going because it helped Jordan, it helped our young receivers, our young tight ends, and really things took off.
What's kind of the percentage breakdown, maybe when you're running zone versus maybe power or gap?
It's a good question. I would definitely say overall run pass, I'm very simple 50-50. You try to be 50-50.
Sure.
I mean, there's games I've called 70 runs in a game. I've called 70 passes in a game. So it depends on who you're playing, right?
Right.
But I would say probably more zone than gap. I'd probably like 60-40, maybe 65-35. I don't really know, because we're definitely, I would say more zone because it sets up play pass better. It sets up the boot better. So I'd say you definitely lead towards them, but there's still gap in there, depending on what they're doing on defense. So, but run to pass, you'd like to be 50-50, but if you have a feel for the game, that's one of the reasons I like being in the booth. Once you feel what's working, you got to lean on it. You can't wait till the next game to try to start with, to call what's working, So I think the goal is always 50-50 run pass. In this offense, we're definitely more zone than gap.
Over the last 4 or 5 years, even here, there's been a major jump in difference when there's, say, jet sweep motion versus non-jet sweep as far as yards per carry. Maybe 5 versus 3.2. What does that do as far as like adjusting to second level, third level of the defense when you've got that much motion?
It does everything, right? I mean, defense is about eye control, and if they have great eye control, then they're probably going to stop most runs. They're gapped out. They're great coaches, especially here, and so they're going to fill the gaps. The question is, if you change their gaps 2 or 3 times before the snap, then you're really trying to get them to misfit, and train their eyes and be able to hand the jet sweep, be able to throw it on the perimeter, be able to run the ball, and if the guy doesn't get the perfect key, then you end up opening up some big runs, So that's the keys. When they can pin their ears back and they're solo gap football, and I'm a linebacker and I got the B gap and you run the ball and I blow the B gap, you're in trouble. But if we make sure that guy thinks he has the backside A gap, and then with the motion he gets the front side B gap, and then we bring a tight end backwards and he's back to the backside A gap 2, 3, 4 times before the snap, it definitely ups your chances, right? But you're still running the same play. But your linemen have to get comfortable with their spots moving. That's one of the first conversations I had with them, is that they're going to be moving, and you're going to have to get comfortable with that, because when you don't do it a lot, they get really uncomfortable when they start moving, and so we did not hold back in the spring. We were moving probably more than we probably ever have, or probably will, just to teach them that, because that's a skill that people don't really, some don't have. And and I think someone told me a stat. I don't know the exact stat. You probably would know better than me. Of pre-snap motion, I think we were like 6% or like last in the country. We didn't move much, so I knew that was something we had to break through that barrier. And I would 100% tell you we've done it enough because I've been over motioning. just I guess that's the word. And then I think it was last week we had a couple of plays that we did motion, and Phil was like, "What's going on? Like you didn't do anything." I was like, "Yeah, we're actually going to do that sometimes, but we have to train these guys, and they've loved it and they've accepted it, and they're starting to see it more and more, so they're getting comfortable."
It seems like that sometimes compensates for the lack of cut blocking that you can't do on the line of scrimmage anymore because they're calling it even when it's right.
Yeah.
And so does this kind of allow for that? Just allow your lineman to really get to that vertical, get out in the second level.
Yeah, because you got to get to the second level, right? And you got to take care of the first guys first.
Yeah.
And there's very limited times you can cut anymore. It's a huge part of this offense if when we can't get it done right. We can't do it in practice. We were talking about it in our meeting today, saying in a game I'd like that guy to be cut, but we can't. We're not cutting our own players here.
Right.
So now it's more going to be educating them when to do it and when. It's not too often anymore. But yes, any hesitation you can get, especially when there's communication between the linebackers and the D-line as things are changing, where he's screaming at the last minute and then he's thinking and the ball snapped, and if we're running off the ball, we got a shot, and so it's been fun. They're starting to see, how all the pieces fit together, and it's been fun.
Forgive me if this is a question that I don't know if this is something that you'd even think about, but last year against Big Ten teams at home, their Iowa offense only scored, I think, 9 touchdowns all year. Do you ever think about just being entertainers? We want to come out there and give the home fans a show. We want to give Hawkeye fans something to talk about in the off week.
No.
Okay.
I haven't thought of that. Really. I mean, this is a fun offense to run. I think our guys love running it. It is an aggressive offense. I want them to be aggressive, and we're going to be aggressive. And I think they enjoy that, and obviously if we're successful, the fans will love it, So I guess in the long run, yes, they'll love the fact that if we're executing, if our technique's right. The biggest thing with our guys is just them understanding that the new offense is different. There's no question about that. But it still comes down to technique. My job is to try to make their job of executing a little bit easier. If I can get guys leaning, I can hopefully make their jobs a little bit easier. But if their technique isn't right, it still comes down to that. And so if we're doing those things, and we're being aggressive, and we're making them cover every blade of grass. That's our goal. Is every blade of grass on that field, all the way across, all the way down. We got to make them cover it all and have plays that hit all the different areas. And that's fun to watch.
How much scripting do you want to do? Or what's your philosophy on
opening script?
Yeah, opening script.
Yeah.
How much do you want to do, and what's your philosophy in that script? Are you trying to figure out, hey, I want to see what they're doing?
Good question.
Here?
It's a really good question because I've done a bunch. I've done 5 plays. I've done 10. I've done 20. I've done 30.
Wow.
You really just got to figure out what we're good at. I do like scripting. There's one year where I scripted plays in a sequence. And then I'd get off the sequence on third down, to make sure we got a good third down call. I'd get right back into the sequence. So I've done it a bunch of different ways. We'll definitely have an opening script. You see so many teams in the NFL and in college, have a lot of success on that first drive because they've worked on that so many times. I remember when I was the quarterback coach at Western Michigan, we would score in our top 20 plays, we called it. We'd score like 21 points every time. We'd score a ton. And I used to be able to move we should just run those again. They literally have scored 21 points in these 20 plays. We should just wrap it back and see.
Until they stop.
Let's roll with it, right? And so there's just so many ways to do it. But we're definitely going to have the beginning of the game scripted. We're going to have to get off. When we get off schedule, we got to get off that script. But it puts the guys at ease too, and there's going to be all kinds of adrenaline running, especially early on. So getting them comfortable with what's the first. I'll go through with the quarterback. This is our first third and short. This is our first third and medium. This is the first third and long. It's the first call. When we get to the 25, it's my first call at the 15. Just so he's more comfortable. I think you have a better chance to have success early in the game when they're comfortable with those plays.
Do you like to use some of that though to kind of see how they react to? Because
100%.
You're going to set something up for later.
100%. My job last year was during game day. I sat right next to the defensive coordinator, and I did offensive personnel. And on Thanksgiving Day, the first drive, the Detroit Lions ran every personnel known to man. he looked at me a couple times like, they're in what? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure they got an extra lineman in there. They're in 20 TT, whatever it was. And they went right down the field. I mean, they ran all kinds of stuff. And so a lot of times, you're setting up things for later on in the game. Two, you want to see what they're going to do in different personnel. 3-by-1, you want to get up. You want to show everything to see what you're going to get, because it does give you more information for later on in the game.
You mentioned to me a couple weeks ago that you wanted to learn about your personnel.
Yeah.
Like what have you learned now? Eight days into camp.
A lot. I mean, they're getting better.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've been very happy with the O-line, the way they've been running off the ball. I think we got a pretty good group up there. I think our tight ends are exactly what I thought they were. Our backs are getting more and more comfortable with our run schemes. Our receivers, it's been really fun to watch these guys, you know, because they're all at different places. You know, it's such an interesting room. And watching them, and some of them just don't know it. There's so much to learn about route running and coverage and where to sit and how to find a hole and how to block and where to block and how physical to block. And so, you know, the jury's still out on that room, because there's tons of them that are probably like, this guy has a day and he pops on tape the next day. And so I love that, because the numbers are good. You know, the one big, you know, Jacob, you know, our new receiver, it's been fun to watch him. He's played football before, you can tell. He's physical. He runs great routes. You know, he's just always working hard. He competes harder than many of the guys that I've been around. So it's been fun. It's been good for the room to watch a guy like that, a real pro, work. And so it's fun. We're still learning which routes, because we can put anybody anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So we were just having a discussion upstairs about a certain play and who we wanted to put on this route and who we wanted to put on this route. Like, I've already seen him run this route. He's really good at it, but I'd like to see this other guy run the route and see if he's good at it too. So we flipped the formation. So tomorrow when we run it, we're going to have different guys running different routes. And then, you know, by game one, whoever's the best at it is going to run that route. You know what I mean? But right now we're still kind of in the exploratory phase. But it's fun when a guy runs it well, or sometimes they're just young, you know, and they run a route that's not exactly right. You go out there and they don't know any better, and you teach them, and the next time they run it, they got it. You know, so it's been there's been a lot of exploratory work in the wide receiver room, and it's been fun to watch it.
So how do you get the rust off him? So that's the sense I've gotten from you and Kirk so far.
Yeah.
A little bit rusty. Knows the game mentally, but rusty. How do you shake that before August 31st?
Just stick to it in this. I mean, he is a competitor now. Like, if he's not perfect, he's angry. You know what I mean? Like, he gets hard on himself. I was the same way. Like, no one, you can yell at me all you want, and I don't have to yell at him. It's like Luke Lachey once ran a route wrong, and he was heartbroken. You know, he was hot. He should have cut it off at like 4. He ran it to 6. He came back with his eyes like, I screwed that up. I should have cut it off. I'm like, it's okay. You'll get it next. Like, he already gave me the answer, right? Kate's the same way. He comes back with the answer, mad as heck at himself for taking an extra step, or for, you know, not progressing when he shouldn't have, or sticking on it when he should have progressed, and then the next day it's fixed. You know, so it's really just time. And, you know, in the pocket early on, he was a little skittish in the pocket, rightfully so. I was there before, and now in the pocket he's sliding, stepping up. You know, he's doing some great things. So it's fun, even when a guy who's played that much football has the willingness and the toughness to have to battle through some injury, and now he's cleared, and now you just got to get out of your head, right? That's all you got to do. And